Welcome back to Simplifying Synthesis. In this video, we're going to look at the synthesis of Cephalotane-Type Norditerpenoids. This work was published by the Sarpong group in JACS in their paper Unified Total Syntheses of Benzenoid Cephalotane-Type Norditerpenoids, Cephanolides and Ceforalides. The Cephanolides A to D were first isolated in 2017 from Cephalotaxis sinensis, while the Ceforalides were isolated this year from Cephalotaxis fortune. There have been no syntheses of these Ceforalides yet, and their bioactivity has yet to be reported. These compounds share a similar framework and are thought to be biosynthetically related to Tonalide, which possesses an expanded unsaturated ring. These compounds have quite a complicated structure, which makes them an interesting challenge for total synthesis. They possess a 665-66 fused polycyclic core, with some members having an additional 5-membered ring within the framework. This possesses up to 6 contiguous stereocenters, and there is a variety of oxidation patterns observed in these compounds. Using bond network analysis, the researchers devised a strategy that involved creating the central framework using an inverse electron demand Diels-Alder reaction, and then elaborating on this framework using oxidation chemistry such as Benzylic Oxidations and Oxidative Cyclizations. So let's start with the synthesis of this framework. The synthesis began with the Suzuki-Miyaura Coupling. Palladium first underwent an oxidative addition into a triflated indinone, and the triflate was then displaced by fluoride, present as potassium fluoride. This potassium fluoride also reacts with the borane, generating a borate complex that can then undergo transmethylation with the palladium species. A reductive elimination completes the reaction and regenerates the palladium Ir-catalysed. This product was then subject to another Suzuki coupling. This time, it was reacted with a pyrrole triflate and produced the Diels-Alder precursor in a 46% yield over 2 steps. The regioselectivity of this iterative Suzuki coupling sequence can be explained by looking at the electronics on the different boron groups. The organoborane that took part in the first reaction is more electron-rich and hence reacted first, while the trifluoroborate is electron deficient and therefore only took part in the second reaction. Taking the product forward, the indinone was then silated using TMS triflate and dipia. This then underwent a Diels-Alder Cyclization, forming the product as a single isomer in an 80% yield. This reaction is very impressive as it sets the stereochemistry of 4 of the stereocenters present in the polycyclic core. This is an inverse electron demand Diels-Alder reaction, as the diene is electron deficient and the silyl-enol ether is electron rich. These electronics are the opposite to those typically seen in the Diels-Alder reaction, where the diene tends to be the more electron-rich moiety. In the next step, the alkene formed by this Diels-Alder reaction underwent a Methyl-Borylation oxidation sequence. This was carried out by reacting the compound with copper chloride, sand-phos ligand, bis-pinnacle borane, and lithium tert-butoxide. This added pinnacle borane and the copper complex across the double bond, and this then further reacted with methyl iodide, installing the methyl group in place of the copper. Further reaction of the compound with sodium perborate oxidized the boron group and installed a hydroxyl group in its place in a 77% yield. This hydroxyl group was then oxidized using desmartin periodinane. It first attacks the iodine of the DMP reagent, which eliminates an equivalent of acetate. This then acts as a base, deprotonating the molecule and promoting the oxidation of the alcohol to a ketone upon the breaking of the oxygen-iodine bond. The ketone was then reduced using sodium borohydride, which attacks from the less sterically hindered face, reforming a hydroxyl group, this time with the stereochemistry inverted to the original starting material. The inversion of the stereochemistry of this hydroxyl group was required to form the 5-membered cyclic ether. This was accomplished using a Suarez Oxidation. Bis-acetoxyiodobenzene reacts with the iodine under irradiation, and this generates a radical in the hydroxyl group together with the loss of a proton. This radical can then intramolecularly abstract a hydrogen, leaving a radical now residing on the 5-membered ring. This radical reacts with another equivalent of iodine, forming the iodide, that then reacts in a nucleophilic substitution with the hydroxyl group, completing the formation of a 5-membered ring. Mechanistically, this is very similar to the Hofmann-Loffer-Freytag reaction. With this ring complete, the TMS group could then be removed using TBAF, forming the product in a 99% yield over 2 steps. The newly revealed hydroxyl group was then removed using a Barton-McCombie Deoxygenation. The hydroxyl group is first deprotonated using sodium hydride, and the resulting anion then attacks carbon disulfide. The sulfide intermediate then reacts with methyl iodide to complete the formation of a xanthate ester. In the next step, AIBN is used as a radical initiator, as it forms a radical upon the loss of nitrogen gas. The radical formed then reacts with tributyl tin hydride, forming a tin radical that then goes on to attack the xanthate ester. The radical produced by this attack is stabilized by the 3 adjacent heteroatoms, and this intermediate decomposes, abstracting the oxygen upon homolytic cleavage to form a carbon-oxygen double bond, which is very energetically favoured. The radical, now formed on the substrate, reacts with another equivalent of tributyl tin hydride to complete the reaction in an 82% yield. Taking this compound forward, it was then subject to a thianthrenation. In this reaction, tetrafluorothianthrene S oxide first reacts with trifluoroacetic anhydride, forming a sulfonium intermediate that then eliminates trifluoroacetate. The dicationic species generated by the elimination of trifluoroacetate rapidly undergoes a comproportionation with the TFT S oxide to generate 2 equivalents of a monocationic radical. The substrate then adds to this radical, and a proton is then lost to restore aromaticity. This forms a salt with the fluoroboric acid also present in the reaction mixture, and overall the product was isolated in a 99% yield. This was then taken forward to the formation of boronic ester under photoirradiation conditions with an iridium catalyst. As we saw before, this could be directly oxidized in one pot using sodium perborate to produce cephanolide A in a 92% yield. To synthesize cephanolide B, they used the borylated intermediate produced earlier in the synthesis of cephanolide A. This was reacted with phenolithium, forming an organoborate that was then reacted under photoirradiation conditions to complete a protodeborylation. In this reaction, the iridium catalyst is first excited with UV light, and this then reacts with the organoborate, becoming reduced to iridium-2 and producing a radical on the carbon previously bearing the boron. This then abstracts a hydrogen from thiophenol, and the sulfur radical that this produces can reform the active catalyst by oxidizing the iridium-2 species back to iridium-3. With the deboronation complete, the TMS group was removed using hydrochloric acid, producing the deboronated alcohol in a 76% yield over 2 steps. This alcohol was then subject to a deoxygenation, this time using indium trichloride and diphenylchlorosilane. This method was used as the Barton-McCombie Deoxygenation, which we saw earlier, led to a translactonization and the formation of an unintended product. In this method, the hydroxyl group first attacks the silicon, eliminating chloride. The oxygen is then further activated by coordination to indium trichloride, allowing it to leave and for the hydride to attack in its place, forming the deoxygenated target in a 97% yield. In the next step, the aromatic ring was oxidized, this time using malonyl peroxide. This can form a diradical in solution and can add to the aromatic ring, which stabilizes the radical intermediate by delocalization. Abstraction of a hydrogen radical restores aromaticity in the ring, and the malonyl ester is easily hydrolyzed to produce the alcohol in a 74% yield and complete the synthesis of cephanolide B. To form cephanolide C and D, they again reused an earlier intermediate. This molecule was first subject to a benzylic oxidation using PCC and sodium acetate, producing cephanolide C in a 61% yield. To access cephanolide D, this ketone was reacted with methyl hydroxylamine, forming the product in a 99% yield. This was installed in order to act as a directing group for a palladium-catalyzed methoxycarbonylation. The amine coordinates to the palladium, directing it to the desired location on the ring, where it undergoes CH activation to form a bridged dimer with the palladium bonded directly to the carbon of the aromatic ring. Potassium oxalate monoester reacts with silver carbonate, which promotes a decarboxylation and the formation of a methyl formate radical. This can add to the activated palladium species, promoted by potassium persulfate, and the resulting complex can undergo reductive elimination, forming the product in a 52% yield. To complete the synthesis of cephanolide D, the researchers needed to remove the oxime. This was accomplished using a Griesbaum co-ozonolysis reaction. This is similar to a typical ozonolysis of an alkene, where ozone first undergoes a cycloaddition, forming a cyclic intermediate that then decomposes, forming a peroxide intermediate. This is reduced upon reaction with dimethyl sulfide to produce the target ketone and complete the synthesis of cephanolide D in a 35% yield. So let's move on and look at the syntheses of the Ceforalides. These syntheses utilize the intermediates already prepared for the synthesis of the cephanolides. In the case of cephanolide D, they utilized the TMS-protected compound and reacted it in a Jones oxidation. In this reaction, chromium trioxide is first protonated by sulfuric acid, and this activated species is then attacked by the hydroxyl group. An intramolecular abstraction of a hydrogen atom completes the oxidation of the alcohol to a ketone in a 50% yield. The acidic conditions of this reaction also removed the TMS group, revealing an alcohol. This alcohol needed to be removed. However, direct deoxygenation of this compound was not feasible. Instead, the authors took a longer route and first brominated the compound. In this reaction, MbS first reacts with dimethylthiourea, forming a radical species on the urea that is then attacked by the hydroxyl group. Homolytic cleavage of the carbon-oxygen bond then occurs, forming thiourea monoxide and generating a tertiary radical on the substrate. This thiourea monoxide is also able to abstract the hydroxyl group, following a similar mechanism as before, where it is first activated by MbS, attacked by the oxygen, followed by homolytic cleavage of the carbon-oxygen bond. It is possible for bromine to be formed by the MbS in the reaction, and this bromine can react with the tertiary radical, forming the brominated compound in a 61% yield. To replace this bromine atom with a hydrogen atom, they carried out a dehalogenation reaction using AIBN and tributyl tin hydride. As we saw earlier, AIBN is a radical initiator and forms a tin radical which abstracts the bromine, forming a tertiary radical that reacts with another equivalent of tributyl tin hydride, completing the dehalogenation. Taking this forward, it was then reacted with sodium borohydride, which added to the less sterically hindered side of the carbonyl, completing the synthesis of cephalolide D in a 68% yield over 2 steps. Cephalolide D could be converted into cephalolide C in a 1-step photo-oxidation. In this reaction, a ruthenium-2 BP complex is excited with UV light, and this excited species reacts with iodosobenzoic acid. This eliminates an equivalent of hydroxide, forming a radical species that reacts with the benzylic position of the substrate, abstracting a hydrogen radical and producing a secondary radical that is stabilized due to its benzylic position. This is further oxidized by the ruthenium-3 species to generate the ruthenium-2 catalyst and produce a benzylic cation. This reacts with water to install a hydroxyl group, and further oxidation produces a ketone to complete the synthesis of cephalolide C in a 49% yield. Cephalolide D could also be used to produce cephalolide F. To this end, an oxidative cyclization was carried out using lead acetate and iodine. This is similar to the Suarez oxidation that we saw earlier, where an oxygen radical is first generated, and this undergoes an intramolecular hydrogen abstraction to produce the benzylic radical. Iodination of this position, followed by a nucleophilic substitution, completes the formation of the cyclic ether in a 97% yield, and further benzylic oxidation with PCC and sodium acetate completed the synthesis of cephalolide F in a 27% yield. By utilizing the penultimate intermediate from the synthesis of cephanolide A, they could also access cephalolide G. Using the same ruthenium-catalyzed photo-oxidation that we saw earlier, they could stereoselectively introduce a hydroxyl group at the benzylic position, which added to the convex face of the molecule. This reaction was carried out over a much shorter time than the previous reaction, which allowed them to isolate the molecule with the hydroxyl group instead of the ketone. Oxidation of the boron group with sodium perborate installed the phenolic hydroxyl group, forming cephalolide G in a 42% yield over 2 steps. To synthesize cephalolide H and achieve the final target of this study, they carried out an oxidative dearomatization on cephanolide A. The compound was reacted with bisacetoxyiodo-benzene. The activated species then forms a phenoxyenium ion that is attacked by a molecule of water, forming a hydroxyl group upon the elimination of a proton and completing the synthesis of cephalolide H in a 78% yield. With the completion of this compound, it brings us to the end of this synthetic study. I hope you'll join me for the next video, where we will look at the total synthesis of paste sonoside A.